Hello, this is George Agnew from Blackthorpe Barn doing StudioTalk, where I talk to makers who should have been coming to our barn this year and are now on our online shop and where you can find them on our crafts hub. So today we've got Amanda Glanville of Earring Cafe, who's talking to us from Coventry from her Red Shed studio. Hi Amanda, how are you?
Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm quite warm actually. I'm normally freezing in this red shed because I have to have all the windows open, but it's a nice sunny, lovely sunny day today.
But you have got your hat on.
I always have my hat on in the shed. It's my working hat.
Excellent. Well, we've got to know you over many years of coming to the barn, and we're so fond of your work, but I'd really like to get our viewers to see the sort of work that you produce, because you do work in glass, don't you? Do you want to tell us how you got started with that?
A very long time ago when I was at college, I started making earrings to sell, just as a way of myself, rather than getting a bar job. And when I'd finished college, I carried on and started doing craft fairs and realised that I needed to kind of make them up for myself and not just use the same old beads that everybody was using. So I went on a one-day glass bead making course in a little village near Blackthorpe, where the tutor was an amazing man, a South African German man, and he served us spaghetti for lunch, and he was just great. And I was so excited by the beads that I made. I showed them to the whole train carriage on the way home, who must have thought there was a mad woman on the train. But I just kind of really took to using glass, and as time has gone by, I've moved away from making beads to going into the area of, I suppose, sort of little glass animals is the way that most people would describe it. Although not everything I make is an animal, but they are little, quirky, small objects, really.
Right. I think perhaps something people need to realise is the scale that we're talking about with your work. So do you think you could actually show us one or two things so that we can all get a sense of the size that we're talking about?
One of the things I've been making for a couple of years, and it's quite a festive thing, is my little glass robins. And you can see that is the size of them. And that's quite big for me. If I go smaller than that, I tend to make things into earrings. So they tend to be fingernail size. It's a good judge. That's Christmas decoration size. You can buy this on your website. Another one I've got here is a slightly bigger one for me. It's a little Christmas post box, complete with lots of snow on it. So that's quite a big one for me. So it's quite a heavy one. Again, I would do them smaller if I was making them into jewellery, but they tend to be a centimetre, a couple of centimetres big, really.
Right. So we're in a really miniaturized world with incredible detail, which I think is absolutely fascinating. What inspires you, do you reckon, to actually come up with your designs?
Sometimes it's audience suggestion. So every year I do an advent calendar on Instagram and Facebook, and every year I get audience suggestions, and every year I get the most bizarre things. I've done sharks, I've done greenhouses, I've done ice skates, I've done funny little axes to chip away things in rock for archaeologists. So it can be anything. Food is a big inspiration, surprisingly. And garden things, so lots of flowers and animals and insects. It's pretty much anything apart from a giraffe. I will not have a go at a giraffe because they're too spindly, much too spindly.
Would that apply to an ostrich as well?
Oh, definitely. Although I have done a flamingo.
Yes, I've seen a picture of that. Do you do commissions? Do you take commissions for pieces like this?
Yeah, I would say over 50% of what I do is commissions, and they come in very short notice most of the time. I quite enjoy the pressure of that. So there's been a lot of people asking me to do commissions of their pets, which is quite hard really, because it's so small, trying to get the characteristics of an animal in such a small piece. But it's always fun to try. I'll have a go at anything pretty much.
Have you got a bit a piece of your work that's really you really feel something special about at the moment that you could show us? Because I always think that's a way to get inside the sort of maker's world. You got something you could show us?
Yeah, I did something for my Great Glass Advent calendar last year, and unlike a lot of artists, I don't draw things. I kind of draw things in with my hands before I do it. So I almost like do a little dance with my hands, trying to work out where I'm going to put the glass. And this piece was something I had in mind and wasn't sure I could do, and it took me about an hour to do. And it's special because it's kind of got a story to it. So it's a tiny glass elf who has fallen into a snowdrift, and the reason he's fallen into a snowdrift is if you turn it round, he's got a big pile of snowballs there. You can just see them.
Right.
And he was in a snowball fight. So there's a whole story about this piece, but it was really hard to do. And I kept going backwards and forwards, and the legs kept melting, and his hat kept melting, and oh, it was so frustrating. So I wasn't sure it was going to turn out in the kiln, but it did turn out. So it's special in that I don't tend to keep my pieces. They tend to go out to people who've ordered them. This was sort of a test piece, and it worked. And I was jumping around for joy that day.
I think that's really lovely. It's great fun.
Thank you.
And what are you working on at the moment?
At the moment, I've got a big commission. A lady has asked me to make pretty much all of her Christmas shopping list. So I've been working my way through that. I've done some cactus earrings. I've done some ice lolly necklaces. And she's asked me to do some bunny rabbits for somebody who lives in Australia. So I've got some test rabbits here. Don't laugh, they're not very good. So here are my test rabbits. And these were the very first ones I made, and they're not great. I'm not very happy with their faces, so I'm not letting you see their faces too quickly. There are better ones in the kiln, so she can be reassured that there are better ones in the kiln.
Well, I think they look really great. I always think it's interesting to see actually work in progress, and often we're let in to see things that may not be entirely successful, but it's all part of the adventure of creating things, isn't it?
It is, and a bit like, I mean, I know a lot of potters who will perhaps start to make something, and if they're not happy with it, they'll smash it or they'll squash the clay. With glass, I mean, I don't want to give anyone nightmares, but with the rabbits, if their face isn't right, I melt it off and start again, or I'll pull it off and start again. So you can kind of work it a little way until it just gets so rubbish that you have to throw it in the bucket, and then you really do start again.
Right. So what are you planning to do during lockdown?
Well, today, the day we're talking on is the first day of lockdown, and it's a bit of a breather for me because I've been running around quite a bit trying to get things organised. So today I'm working on this big commission for this lady that needs to be finished by this weekend. I've got another couple of commissions. I've got about 50 robins to make, which is going to be fun. And then I start working on the Great Glass Advent calendar, which starts on the 1st of December. So I've got a few ideas of things to make. So as well as orders, I've got the fun stuff to do as well.
Well, that's really brilliant. Well, I think our time's coming to an end because I'm afraid we keep these interviews quite short. But thank you, Amanda, for taking the time to have a chat to us today and giving us a little insight into your studio. And just for anybody who's interested in shopping online at Blackthorpe Barn and seeing Amanda's stuff and possibly buying something today, if you would like to go to shop.blackthorpebarn.com and then go to the menu or the category. If you're on an iPhone, it's the category. And then look for handmade crafts. That will take you straight through. So thanks very much, Amanda. Stay safe. Keep enjoying what you're doing. And it's great to see you again. Okay.
You too. Take care, all of you. Bye.
All right then. Bye.